want to
starting the
moderate?
webinar.
Do I want to do what?
Do you want to moderate the student contributions?
I'd be happy to.
Great. Okay.
All right,
Um,
everyone, we'll get started in just a minute to give everyone a chance to join. All right, before we get started, a few technical details about this info session. We have muted all the participant audio connections to limit background noise. Please use the chat box to type your question. There will be a Q&A session at the end of the presentation, and we'll answer the questions then. The session is best viewed on a PC or laptop. If you're currently on a cell phone and have a PC or laptop available, we do recommend that you switch to the other device. And finally, this info session will be recorded and will become available for review on UCEAP's YouTube channel.
Right. So, hello everyone, and thanks for joining us for our info session, Berlin Calling, UCEAP Study Abroad Programs in the Coolest City in Central Europe. Your hosts today are Glenn Levine West, Tanja Jung, and Barbara Burger from the UCEAP Berlin office, and Katerina Georgieva from UCEAP's system-wide office in Goleta. We also invited 3 of the current UCEAP Berlin students, Ella, Sabrina, and Javier, and we asked them to join us and share their perspectives. We'll give them the floor in just a little while, and you can also ask them questions during the Q&A at the end. During the presentation itself, we want to give you information about life in Berlin, our programs, our Berlin host universities, student housing, and then also UCEAP support on site.
Hello, this is Glenn Levine West, and this is your UCEAP staff at the Berlin Study Center. And behind us, you also see in the other picture the UCEAP Berlin Study Center building. And at the end of the presentation, we'll tell you a bit about what we do here. So in case you aren't familiar with where Germany or Berlin are, you can see that Germany is literally situated in the heart of Europe, close to France, Spain, Italy, the UK, and many other countries. It's a great location for travelers anywhere in Europe by rail or usually bargain airlines. And on the Germany map, you can see that Berlin is located in the northeast, an hour-long train ride to the Polish border. And to get to Munich, for instance, it takes around 4 hours by high-speed train, or also about 4 hours for a trip to Prague in the Czech Republic, to give you a sense of scale.
So we've come up with 8 sort of themes that characterize Berlin and make it a very special city and a unique experience. First, diversity. Diversity in the people and the cultures and languages, in the many exciting and different neighborhoods, the mix of urban and green spaces, and also in the huge variety of cuisines that are available. The roughly 3.5 or 3.7 million Berlin inhabitants originate from nearly 200 different countries, and countless communities make up the city's unique character and take shape in forms like the large Christopher Street Day that you see here on one picture, and other LGBTQ plus festivals, or Black History Month. Previous students also connected with Berlin's rather large Latin American community.
So,
Yeah, okay.
oh, mhm.
Also, no, it's Glenn. Oh, sorry.
No, Barbara. Mhm. Should I do that? Okay.
Yeah.
The second point is mobility. What students usually say they will miss the most about Berlin is the excellent public transportation system. BVG or BVG is the company that runs the public transportation system in Berlin. The ad here on the slide says, "Not even your mommy picks you up at 4:30 in the morning." Your student pass that you would have allows you to use the local public transportation throughout Berlin, and in fact, at the moment, throughout Germany. Two of our students took advantage of this and went to the nearby city of Potsdam to visit the famous Palace Sanssouci. Bikes are a very popular mode of transportation as well, and Berlin has a highly developed bicycle lane system.
All right, now. Hi, this is Barbara, program assistant talking. Third is Berlin is the center of German politics and the seat of the German parliament. And there are also many NGOs as well as foreign embassies. And the Reichstag's building, which you see in the background of the left picture, is where the German parliament meets. And by the way, one of our excursions during the semester is a visit to a parliament session. For history and architecture, we chose the Brandenburg Gate, an iconic landmark of Berlin in Germany, a symbol of European history and of unity and peace. Previous students said that as you walk through the city, you can't help but run into historical buildings from all eras. Berlin is also a city of culture. It has almost 200 museums, dozens of art galleries and exhibitions, theaters, opera houses, orchestras, and sporting events. In addition, Berlin is famous for its nightlife. Bars, cafes, clubs, festivals, and concerts of all kinds. When it comes to going out at night in Berlin, it's all here. Berlin is also the city of creative arts and entertainment. Artists from around the world flock to Berlin to become part of its vivid cultural life. It is also an important center in the European and German film and TV industry. And it's home to the famous international film festival Berlinale, as well as many smaller film festivals. And finally, many people come to Berlin to make their innovative visions of a startup company come true. With around 500 new tech startups per year, Berlin is the startup capital of Germany. These 8 themes are only some examples. We hope you are excited to come and explore the city yourself.
Okay, so now we'd like to give you an overview of our UCEAP programs in Berlin. First, our flagship program is what we call the immersion program. Immersion means that you study for a semester or a full year, academic year, at one of our 3 universities here, which we'll describe in a bit of detail in a few moments, together with students from that university or with other international students. Some of the most important features of the program are here. Whether or not you speak German, in the fall semester, all of our students do an intensive language program, or ILP, before the semester begins. In the spring, the ILP is optional, but highly recommended. Most important, perhaps, is that although these are immersion programs, there's no language prerequisite. While one of your courses will be a language course during the semester, you can take your other courses completely in English if you so choose, because all of our host universities offer instruction in many majors in English. And for those with a high enough level of proficiency in German, there are courses in dozens of different majors. Info about which majors work best in English here are on the UCEAP website, but you can also email us with inquiries about your major. And at the end of the presentation, we share our email addresses. In the immersion program, you can take courses in your major, you can fulfill GE, or do electives. And lastly, so that you can have the richest possible academic experience, UCEAP students can take one class per semester at one of the other host universities. And while our program does not include a formal internship, while our program does not include a formal internship, you can do that if you would like to.
Now, although the main focus of this session is on our immersion program, we also wanted to share just a bit of info about the other programs we have. And then you can find further details on the UCEAP website. So on this slide that you see right now are the summer options. For all of them, you'll study alongside other international students, not German students. So that's just important to keep in mind. So first, the Summer Global Internship Program. This program combines an internship with a company or institution, with seminars on navigating the business world, and then also extracurricular events and activities. For housing, you can opt for a dorm room in the heart of the city or a homestay that the program arranges for you. Second, with Free University's Berlin Summer Program, you can either focus on studying the German language, you can take subject courses in English, or you can do a combination of both. This program also includes cultural and social activities. Note that the program's housing options also include staying with a host family. And then thirdly, Technical University's summer program offers English taught courses from engineering, computer science, and other technical fields that combine both theory and hands-on experience. Extracurricular activities are a standard component of this program as well. The Berlin Experience is our newest program option, which launched actually this fall and is located in Kreuzberg, which is one of the coolest Berlin neighborhoods. Short academic blocks allow you to combine subject courses in English from a variety of fields with German language classes, all of which you'll take alongside other international students, mainly from the US. Note that you can also choose a customized internship as one of your blocks, for which CIEE, the organizer and host of the program, helps place you. There are different academic term options available, and housing includes on-campus dorms or homestays. As with the summer options, cultural activities are an integral component of the program.
Okay, so back to some more detail about the immersion options. Berlin has 3 large prestigious universities, and UCEAP has partnerships with all 3 of them: Free University, Humboldt University, and the Technical University. The Technical University, as its name implies, focuses heavily on the sciences and technical fields. However, as a university, it also has rich course offerings in many other areas, and it is located in the lively Charlottenburg neighborhood of Berlin. The Humboldt University is Berlin's oldest university. Its main campus is located near the Brandenburg Gate and the government center, and has a very urban feel to it. The satellite campus in Adlershof is in the far southeast of the city and hosts natural sciences, psychology, and mathematics, as well as housing that is managed by the university. The Free University is located in the lush green southwest of Berlin, close to forest trails and lakes, but still easily accessible from anywhere in the city. The Freie Uni was founded in the years after World War II, when Humboldt ended up in the Soviet zone of occupation. Since then, it has become one of the leading universities in Germany and in Europe overall. The 3 Berlin universities have around 35,000 students each, and around 20% of those are international students. The universities offer all common majors, but also more specialized ones. You can see but a few examples on the slide. What the size of the university and large number of departments means is that you have a huge variety of classes to choose from. In addition to fulfilling graduation requirements, previous students enjoyed courses not offered at home and getting a German perspective within their fields of study. Just to mention a few examples from previous students' special classes, there's a RoboCup class at the TU where students build their own robots that compete against each other. The Humboldt University's linguistics department offers classes on multilingualism or German-English translation, and previous students have enjoyed taking classes at the Free University's North American and Latin American Interdisciplinary Institutes. The language of instruction is German, but more departments offer English classes as well. Hold on, I need to be able to see my notes. Language of instruction is German, but more departments offer English language classes as well. Depending upon the field of study, instruction may be in a different language. For instance, the Latin American Studies program does have classes in Spanish. In addition, Free and Humboldt offer classes in English or German from different disciplines such as history, art, or politics, specifically designed for international students, focusing on Berlin and German history and culture topics. These have been very popular with UC students from all fields of study.
Okay, and I would like to tell you a little bit about university life. So each university has student cafeterias called mensas, where you can get a complete meal for just between $6 to $9. All mensas have vegetarian and vegan options, and the technical university even has a vegan mensa. Also, any student can have a meal at any mensa, not just as your own university. There are international clubs at each university that host events during the semester, which is a great way to meet other international and German students. University sports is also a great way to meet other students. In contrast to the US, it is all recreational sports, and you can do anything from archery to Zumba. Some of the classes are offered in English. In addition to the advising we provide through UCEAP, academic advising is offered at the department level. Psychological counseling is available for all students, as well as advising for students with disabilities, LGBTQ+, advocacy groups, and more.
Now, one thing we love about Berlin is that it's a genuinely student-friendly city. Possibly surprising for a city its size, Berlin still has pretty affordable rents for students. We'll talk about housing options on the next slide. In addition, you can find inexpensive but high-quality groceries, and eating out is also much, much cheaper compared to California. Berlin has many vegetarian and vegan restaurants, and also most restaurants now have at least some vegetarian and vegan options. There's an incredible number of flea markets and also secondhand stores throughout the city. And in Berlin, it's actually considered fashionable to get your stuff there. Most people in Berlin speak standard or high German, so you'll hopefully find it easy to understand them. And many people also speak English. In fact, we often hear complaints from students who say when they try to practice their German, people speak back to them in English. So if you want to practice your German, you'll really need to let people know that. Now, you may be going abroad on your own, but by design, you will be part of many different communities. The other UCEAP students on the program with you, other international students that you meet maybe during the intensive language program. That's actually where many previous students made their best friends. Other German and then also international students at your host department and also at the host university. And obviously other Berliners that live in the city with you. And then also other communities, such as, if you join a sports club, maybe become part of a religious congregation or a volunteer group. on to housing. So you can choose either from the university housing options or you organize your own housing. Rent ranges from around $400 to $550 for your own room in a student dorm or student village, so-called Studentendorf, to more like $900 to $1,000 or more for your own studio apartment. Now, for both dorms and student villages, as I said before, you have your own room and then you share your kitchen and bathroom with other, mainly international students. There's no such thing as a double room in German dorms. Another thing that's different is there's no on-campus housing for either university. The options are located in residential areas throughout Berlin and usually a 30 to 45-minute commute to campus, which is very normal considered by Berlin standards. Free University also has reserved spots with 2 private housing providers, but students from Humboldt and Technical can also book those independently. One of them is Neon Wood, which is a studio apartment option. You have your own room and private kitchen and bathroom, and there's also some common areas on top of that. 2 of the 3 locations are in very lively parts of Berlin that are very popular with students. There's similar conditions at the FIS, the other Free University private provider that they use. It's located in Kreuzberg. Now, in addition to the ones that are offered through the university, in part at least, you can also just find your own housing through platforms and agencies, and we'll have lots of useful links and advice for you, including how to find LGBTQ+ friendly housing.
Okay, before I proceed, I did want to say or emphasize you can already type questions either in the chat or in the button if you see it that says Q&A, and we will be addressing everybody's questions at the end. So as they occur to you, feel free to add them there. So you probably have already gathered that there's a lot to do apart from studying. In Berlin, it's all there. Our students often participate in different sports classes and clubs, such as bouldering, soccer, or salsa dancing, or they join a chess club or a university choir. During the summer, you can go swimming at one of Berlin's many lakes. Starting with the fall season, you can go ice skating at one of our Berlin's skating rinks, or enjoy many other aspects of Berlin's cultural life. It's also quite easy to do volunteer work in a variety of fields or become active in different groups and organizations. We will have lots of information for you on what you can do in your spare time when you get to Berlin. It's on you to take the initiative and explore all that the city provides. And it really will make all the difference in the world if you immerse yourself in Berlin and make your own connections and find your own communities to interact with. So finally, we wanted to tell you about the UCEAP support from us at the Berlin Study Center. We'll explain the German university system, help you with your study list, and answer academic questions you may have. We also support you in administrative matters, such as getting your residence permit or registering with the city. And during your time in Berlin, you will also have German health insurance, which covers general doctors and specialists, therapy, medication, even hospital stays. We at the Study Center can help you set up medical appointments, and we have a number of contacts with English-speaking doctors, specialists, and therapists. We also have lots of tips and advice and resources for you, from getting involved in Berlin through how to get a used bike in Berlin, and insider tips on the best Christmas markets, of which there are many in the city. We organize events and excursions during the semester, which is a great way to get to know the city and stay in touch with your fellow UCEAP students. Previous events have included soccer games at the famous Olympic Stadium, a street art tour, a Thanksgiving potluck dinner, which here is coming up just next week, an urban gardening project, and attending a session of the German Parliament, the Bundestag. Previous students have left behind many books and used but still useful items, such as warm winter clothes, and we always have them in the study center for you to take. And you're always welcome to drop by at the study center for tea, coffee, cookies, and a chat. So now I think, are we going to hear from our students? Who is here?
Yes, we have Javier and Ella here.
Oh,
Once
wonderful.
Sabrina's here, we'll add her as well.
Well, we've asked our students to share their perspectives for a few moments each, and you can type questions about the programs. You can also type your questions specifically for one or both of them there if you have them. So I'll turn it over to Ella first. Let's start with Ella.
Hello. My name's Ella. I am living in Berlin, going to the Technical University. Uh, I really am enjoying my time in Berlin so far. As Glenn was saying, there's so many different things you can do in Berlin, and I definitely believe that whoever you are, you can 100% find your people in Berlin. I am one of the kids who like to go bouldering, and the Christmas markets just opened, which are amazing, and there's so many that you can check out. I also really like going to German university. It's pretty different, like just in the teaching style or the way that things are run at German universities, but the transition has been really easy, and the UCEAP Study Center has definitely made it a super smooth transition. Um, and you can never get bored in Berlin. There's so many things to do. Yeah, it's a great city.
Okay. Javier, did you want to share a little bit too about your experience so far?
Yeah, sorry, I need to clear out my throat. I'm recovering. Hello, guten Morgen, good morning. Mein Name ist Javier Menjivar. My name is Javier Menjivar. So I gave you some German. I feel German is such a beautiful language, and surprisingly, in some instances, it's highly similar to English. Well, I come from Salinas, California, and my campus back home is UC Berkeley. Right now, I'm currently located in Berlin. I'm attending the Humboldt University for this fall semester. And for me, studying abroad in Berlin has been a dream of mine since I was a little kid. In Salinas, I remember my parents were not educated, and also did not really, I did not grow around people that read a lot. But when I would go to stores or libraries and see books on like travel books on Germany, I would always be attracted to them. And then I was always fascinated about the German culture, history, and architecture. And thankfully now it has become a dream come true. Uh, Here in Berlin, by studying it further in school in Berkeley, taking history of Germany and broader Europe, I felt that I had some insights about Berlin and Germany, but I knew it was not going to be the same as until I landed in Berlin and actually experienced the city itself. I came here personally for history and politics. That's what I'm studying at Humboldt, and I chose that campus because it is the oldest campus in Berlin, and it was under Soviet occupation. And it has things for everybody. Although there's a lot of history, and Germans do really good at remembering a lot of their history. There's also a lot of modern things to do, such as a lot of clubs and TV and technology going on here. and it's highly diverse, which was really surprising for me. There's a lot of people from Turkey, which have influenced Germany similarly to how Mexicans have influenced California. There's Turkish food in every corner, and it just reminds me of my community back home in a sense where taco stands are you can find them anywhere in California. Apart from that, people are speak English, but if you learn the language German and you try to speak German, people are very kind and open, and it's a great way of connecting with people. Although if you only take your courses in English, it's great to learn a little bit of German. But yes, I think that's all I have right now from the top of my head.
Cool. I did want to ask if Ella and Javier find this a useful question sometimes. If there was one thing that you would advise people thinking about, or maybe even already planning to go to one of the Berlin programs, what would that be? Like something you wish you kind of knew about or had thought about in your planning phase that you realize now that you live there and are studying there?
I don't think I was super have like anything super specific, but I would say that I expected that I wouldn't be able to communicate with people as well if I didn't go into my program speaking German. But I found that a lot of people here speak very good English, which is super helpful for someone like me who didn't take German before. But as Javier was saying, practicing German here has been a good experience too, because people are very open to helping you, and there's so many like language cafes that you can go to. But definitely don't worry if you go into a program without speaking German.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, I think for me, the only difference for that I wish I knew was that Humboldt has a more traditional European campus setup, so it's diffused. There is the central campus in Mitte and in the center of the city, but they have a lot of other campuses scattered around the city, and one of the I would have not changed my option because I love Humboldt and their history department is very strong in their political science as well. But for in comparison to Free University, they have, because it was built by the Americans after during the Cold War. It's more of a US like campus central campus type vibes, such as UC campuses back home. That was the only difference.
No, that's a very interesting point. And part of the advising process that you'll go through if you apply is exactly that, sort of making sure you pick the right campus for you. So I don't see Sabrina yet. She might still show up, and if she does, we can give her the floor for a bit. But I'd say we move on to the last bit of our presentation about the UC part of it.
I have one more thing also, is
Oh,
that I didn't expect Germany to have, or like at least Berlin to have so much nature. Like I'm a big nature lover, and I was nervous about moving to a big city and being removed from it, but there's so many beautiful parks and like trees and greenery everywhere. So that's also something that I really enjoy. And also, as I was saying earlier in the presentation, with like living a little bit further from your campus, it takes me about a little under 30 minutes to get to my campus, but it doesn't actually feel like 30 minutes. And the journey is really nice. Like I just walk to the station and take the train. So if you're nervous about living like 30 minutes technically away from campus, I don't think that it's like impacted me that much.
That's a good observation. Yeah, as you'll find out, the Berlin is very spread out, and very few students actually live immediately adjacent or nearby the university, and sort of part of living and studying there. Cool. And I totally agree with you about the nature and the parks. It's one of my favorite things about the city. So I think Katerina, you're up, right?
Yes, thank you, Glenn. So before we move on to answering your guys' questions, we will briefly explain the advantages of UCEAP programs and the next steps in the application process. So UCEAP was established over 60 years ago and is the official study abroad provider for the entire UC system. Studying abroad with UCEAP means that you maintain your UC student status throughout, and you do not need to take a leave of absence from the UC to study abroad. You receive UC credit for the coursework you complete abroad, so the classes will show up on your UC transcript and count towards your UC GPA. If you are a financial aid recipient, your UC financial aid is applicable to your program costs. Additionally, you will have an extensive support network that includes your campus study abroad office, the UCEAP system-wide office, and our on-site contacts in Berlin, who you have just met. UCEAP participants also receive travel insurance coverage and have access to 24/7 emergency assistance. And we hope this presentation has provided you with a starting point on your study abroad journey and encourage you to explore the UCEAP Germany program web pages for detailed information about our program options, finances, health and safety, and more. You should visit your campus study abroad office, their website, or the how to apply section on any program page on the UCEAP website for more information on application steps and deadlines. Contact information for campus offices is also available through the top QR code on this slide. We offer office hours where you can schedule an appointment to have a video call with a UCEAP advisor to talk about our programs in more detail. You'll find the link to make an office hours appointment through the bottom QR code on the screen. Once you have determined which program you are going to apply to, you can start an application by selecting the Apply Now button on the UCEAP website. And please feel free to contact us if you have questions. Our email addresses are on the next slide. Thank you for attending this session. We will now move on to the Q&A portion, so please continue to send us your questions in the chat box. And we'll start answering them. There was one that asked for a list of sports that are available. So Tanya has included links for all 3 universities for the immersion programs. So if you're interested in those, do check that out, that it's in the Q&A portion. So then the next question is, do internships require language fluency?
Should I address that one?
Yes.
Well, as we mentioned, our immersion program does not include an internship as one of the options for the program. However, a number of students every semester choose to pursue an internship on their own. We provide some support, at least this academic year we do, from the study center, meaning if you need help trying to figure out an internship. So to answer your question, it depends entirely on the internship you find. If you're not a German speaker, then obviously you'll need to find an organization or a company that would have your internship in English, and we have had many students who did just that. That their work was in English, maybe the workplace language was in English, and again, it's something you'd have to pursue yourself. Now that said, there is a summer internship program that you can check out on the UCEAP Berlin programs website, and that is a program where it's all about the internship, and and the program actually helps place you in the internship in the summertime. And as far as I know, that if you don't speak German, that can be in English. So that's the answer to that.
And maybe just to add to that, both for the summer internship program and then also for the internship during the semester, of course, you'll have more options if you know German, right? So what it does is
Yeah.
increase your options. But if there's any place in Germany where you can find internships in English, it's definitely Berlin.
Yeah.
So you can find options. You're just going to be more limited if you don't have the German skills.
Right.
I can take the next few questions. So
Yeah.
I'll go back to this slide because there was a question of where can I find more information about the Berlin program. So you can use these QR codes to go to our website, and then you can search for the programs there. And then there was a question of can I apply to programs even if I am a first year? So I think this is where you would benefit from signing up for one of those one-on-one advising sessions so that you can discuss your options and also even meeting with someone at your campus study abroad office so that you can get more information about what will work best for you. And then I do want to add for internships, the Berlin Experience program also does include internships as part of the program. So on that program, they are a little bit more, I guess, standardized or worked into the program. Whereas if you're doing one of the immersion programs at Free Humboldt or technical, then you would be kind of doing a little bit more of that legwork and finding an internship with the assistance of the study center.
Yes.
Let's see. Then there was a question of how do students cover their tuition there? Is tuition at these universities generally cheaper than in the US? So as I talked about on one of the slides, you do remain enrolled as a UC student. So that also means you're paying UC tuition while you are abroad. So you're not going there as an international degree seeking student where then that university's policies and fees would apply. You're going as a UCEAP student through UC remaining enrolled. And on the program pages, there's a cost tab on each program page where you're able to see a cost estimate per program. And how does pass no pass credit work for studying in Berlin? Again, this is something that depends on the program. So on those program pages for each program, there's also an academics tab, and there it will tell you whether you can take one course, pass no pass, or what type of course you can take pass no pass. So that's all on the program pages as well, and is dependent on your program. The next question is how do people get access to internships for CIEE in the fall? And that would be through CIEE. Once you're admitted into that program, there's going to be a process to work through.
I can add that in my experience with them, they're very good at it. They're excellent at gathering info from the students about what their goals are and needs and qualifications, and then matching them up with the kind of organization or company that fits that. And I just have heard very good things from the students I have dealt with who did it.
Great, thank you for that addition. The next question is, how is the teaching style different at the universities compared to UCs?
Tanya, do you want to answer that one, or you want me to do that?
I shared in your laugh. It's like, how is it not different? It's obviously it's academic programs, it's universities, so there's definitely some similarities. Overall, what we never stop emphasizing is that the much larger degree of independence and of self-motivation that's required on the student's part. So students are seen as grown-ups and as, hold the responsibility for your progress in your own hands. And so this is how professors treat you. So there's often few in between kind of quizzes or checkups. A lot of times there's one written final at the end, one research paper that you write at the end that determines your whole grade. So those are definitely usually major differences between classes here and back at the UCs. Glenn, there's more. Help me
Well,
out.
there's a lot more, and believe me, once you we begin with orientation and with academic advising, even pre-departure, you'll get a lot of information on how things work, so that at least when you go into it, you have a good understanding of kind of the differences and things to watch out for. We also emphasize flip the other way around. The German students, the reciprocity students who come from Germany to the UC, in fact, often have a much bigger learning curve because of these differences, because of many aspects of US university education that just don't tend to exist in Germany, such as multiple choice tests, things like that. But yeah, it's different, and yet I've heard from many students that there's a lot of similarities. I don't know if Javier or Ella want to comment on this very important question that I'm sure a lot of students are thinking and concerned about.
Yeah, it's true. Most of my classes, like I have one or two tests that kind of determine your whole grade. But as long as you keep up with just going to class and keeping up with homework, even if it's not mandatory, I feel like I'll be fine. I'm still in my first semester here, so I can't speak on the test specifically, but I did take an intensive German course like the month before I started school, and we did have just two tests that determined our whole grade, which is fine. Um, as long as you keep up being a responsible student, you'll be okay.
Yeah, I think for me, the courses I'm taking are very they're not as large as the ones I was taking back in Berkeley. So there's really direct communication with the professors, and the way that the professors teach, it's highly personal as well. So I have one German professor, and then I have a Brazilian professors, and then I have uh, and I forget where, yeah, no, two German professors and one Brazilian. So they all differ on how they teach the class, but most of the time you're always able to interact and say what you have to say. It's like seminar style. And when it comes to readings, it's not as much as I'm used to back in Berkeley. There's no midterm test, so that's a little bit different, but the readings are well within my means, so I don't feel overwhelmed. And yeah, they're always accessible via email, and they also have office hours. So there's a lot of things that are very similar. Only the platforms that they use for giving out homework, they differ as well. So instead of using things like Canvas, they use other types of platforms like Moodle and Blackboard, I believe. But yes, overall, it's somewhat similar, but there is more independence.
Thank you. I see that Sabrina joined us. I'm glad you could join us, Sabrina. Earlier, we gave the floor to Ella and Javier to just say for a few minutes what they're doing there and what their experiences have been for just a couple of minutes. And if you'd like, we can give you a couple of minutes here and then go back to our Q&A. Is that okay, Katerina, if we do it that way?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. If you don't mind, I'd love to share. Sorry, I just came back from class.
No problem. Thanks. We appreciate you being here.
Okay, so I guess I'll start talking. Hi, my name is Sabrina, and I'm a third year student from UC Davis, studying at the Freie Uni, which is the Free University of Berlin. Um, I'm studying here for a full year, and so far, my experience here has been overwhelming in the best way possible. I would say I came to Berlin because I am a political science and international relations major. So I really wanted to like immerse myself in like different cultures and also have that historical aspect and immerse myself with other students that were also German students, but also students from all over the world. And I think one of the things that has been super gratifying is that you learn about it at a very fast pace. And that is something that has been super exciting. I remember my first meeting with Glenn. He's like, "Oh, why did you choose Berlin?" And one thing that I feel like you can't really understand until you get to Berlin is how diverse the city is. I wasn't expecting it to be as big as it was, but each borough district, like Schöneberg, is going to be so different from Kreuzberg or Mitte. And I've been here for almost 5 months now, and I'm still exploring Berlin in little ways. You'll find that Berlin has something for everyone, which that was something that I was really nervous about coming here. But I find myself spending a lot of time in Kreuzberg, or I live in Schöneberg, which is really quiet and it's nice because you'll go out and experience a lot of things, but then you can come back to wherever you choose to call your home in Berlin. I also did the language program and I came to Germany not knowing any German, and after 4 months already, I am having small talk with people that I meet on like the U-Bahn or the S-Bahn. I'm able to go to a grocery store, ask for help, or order things. So you also learn the language at a very fast pace because you're here. I would say for the academics, it's definitely rigorous, but coming from UC, I'm sure you know that. Um, it's very it's a lot more independent, I would say, but that also gives you the opportunity to kind of, re-teach things to yourself, relearn how you prefer to study, or like if you want to do groups with other students, that's also something that kind of pushes you out of your comfort zone, which I'd say like so far Berlin has given me a lot of opportunities to grow and explore and just be that city where I can find a different place and like a different city almost feels like, or a different district almost feels like an entirely different city, which is something I really like. So, yeah.
Thank you. Excellent comments. Appreciate it. And we still have a bit of time, so students who want to type more questions, even ones directed to our students, is totally good.
There is one about a student that was asking for comparative literature in German major, whether Humboldt or free would be better, and maybe even if you speak specifically to that, but then also in general.
Yeah, I mean, I can give my perspective. Tanya certainly can too. I think at either you're going to be able to. They both have outstanding programs in comparative literature and in German. It's one of the areas. I'd say it's an area of overlap, and it really is a matter of. I mean, if those are your fields, complete and German, and you love reading, then my suggestion would be that you go to the web pages of those respective programs, and if you email us, we certainly can help you find them if you can't find the web pages on each campus, on each university to that, and check out who's there. Look at their faculty and the kinds of courses they're teaching and the kind of areas that their faculty are researching. That's what I would do to sort of make that choice if you're looking at the academics as your criterion.
All right, thank you. Hopefully that was helpful to the student. Or Tanya, did you want to add something?
Sorry. I think I would give a slight preference to free, just because for one, the German studies department at Humboldt limits your course choices a little bit, and at free you'd be this is such so you would be freer to choose your courses. Um, and also because both Free and Humboldt have these courses for international students on various topics, which are usually super interesting for German studies majors. But at Free University, one, they have more of those, and two, pretty much half of them is offered in German. Whereas at Humboldt, the vast majority is in English. So that kind of broadens the list of courses that you can choose from. Now, the good news is that whichever university you decide on, you're allowed to take one class at the other university. So you're not even like absolutely limiting yourself to one, but you're still going to be able to take one class per semester at one of the other universities. And for students who are trying to decide between those between those universities in general, if you are limited to courses in English, um, on each program's website, there's an overview of courses offered in English during previous semesters. So that is a very good tool to kind of see which departments offer how many courses in English per semester and what kind of courses. So that should be really helpful in narrowing down your options. And as Glenn said, I mean, maybe Katerina, at this point, we can go back to the last slide. Our email addresses are on there, so feel free to reach out, make this individual appointments with the advisors. That's definitely a very good starting point, but you can also email Glenn or myself directly, and we're also happy to answer questions that way.
Thank you. We do have a few more questions, so we'll try to go through those quickly. But does the ILP program in the fall occur with all Berlin UCAP students, or is it specific to each university?
So we're using each university's German language program that they offer themselves. So depending on the university you go to, you're going to attend that ILP, and you're going to attend it alongside other international students. So that's a great place to find friends because everyone's new to the city. And so you're going to get to know lots of students who are going to study at the same university as you are.
Great, thank you. And that applies for the fall and the spring, regardless of the semester. Next question is, how many students are at the CIE Berlin campus at a time? So there could be between 200 and 250 students from universities across the US, since the CIE accepts students from US institutions. So a portion of those will be UC students, and generally there are more students in the fall than there are in the winter, spring terms. The next question is, what has been the biggest challenge and reward you have faced in managing this program?
Is that a question for us or for the students?
I think so.
I think for the
Well,
students.
actually.
I think it's maybe for the students.
Oh, I think I can say something.
Okay, go for it.
One of the biggest challenges so far that I've noticed is that, I mean, I was aware that German culture is very opposite of like American culture and just the way that, they don't do small talk, and stuff like that. And that's a very big part of like American culture is being like very warm and like welcoming and inviting. And you don't find that often here, but it's not like something that you find like on the U-Bahn or the S-Bahn, but you will find people that are willing to sit down and have a conversation with you, just not as frequent as the US. But I wouldn't say that was something that deterred me. I just think um, the people here are more mindful, and that was a big challenge for me at first, but then also accepting and understanding that no one here, it's not really very rude. Some people just take it personally. That is something that I've accepted, and so far that kind of helped my growth into kind of assimilating to the culture. Another thing that is definitely very different, Public transportation was also something that was difficult for me because I didn't know that the lines went in two different directions, or the bus lines, and I was supposed to go to Steglitz to meet another UCAP student, and then I ended up in Neukölln. So I would say be careful with that, but now I kind of know the city lines like the back of my hand. And then definitely now that it's November, the weather. Um, I've heard people say the weather isn't bad, you're just unprepared, and I thought it was crazy. I thought the weather was awful, but I've noticed as I'm able to kind of figure out how to layer my clothes and like ac understand, maybe if people are saying that it's cold outside, then a jacket wouldn't just work. Because in California, there have been winters where I just used a regular sweatshirt. Here I have my thermal layer, my short sleeve, long sleeve, like a wool jacket, and then a coat, and then a waterproof jacket on top. And after I've done that, I would say you could like the weather will be fine.
I can totally second that. Yes, if you have the right clothes and you're comfortable in your feet and you're dry, then you're a happy person. Yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with that. Germans, I've heard so many Germans say that there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing. So, you can buy a lot of warm clothes at the flea markets. So, if you're tight on space and worried about bringing a lot of bulky clothes, I've bought a good number of warm clothes for pretty cheap at the flea markets, which is also a fun thing to do.
Yeah, and Berlin has dozens of really good secondhand stores too.
All right, thank you. The next question is, can we travel to Germany and surrounding countries before our designated program starts?
Barbara, do you want to answer that? Oh, did we lose Barbara or Tanya?
I can also go ahead. So if you have a US passport, you can be in Germany and the European Union for up to 90 days. Um, Now we're going to help you as we explained earlier. We're going to help you get a residence permit because after the 90 days are up, we need to have your legal status remain remain legal here in Germany. If you arrive just a couple of weeks early, then that's not going to be an issue. If you arrive a long time before, then we need to work something out. It can still be done, but maybe we'll assist you in going through the process alone. It'll depend on the situation.
Yeah, me personally, I came to Germany about 3 weeks before the program started, and I booked my apartment on my own, just like a shared flat, which I had no trouble with. It was actually very easy, and I traveled around and before the program started.
And the last question I see is Berlin a good place to study abroad as a biology major?
You want to take that one, Tanya, or should I say?
Well, I would say yes if you know German. Um, or if you're very advanced in your studies at home, because undergraduate biology classes are the vast majority is going to be in German, but then once you get to the master's level, they have some in English. So if you're very advanced in your studies, you may be able to join one master's class and take and so have a class in English. But overall, I don't know. Is that what you would have said, Glenn?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are certain fields where you're just going to see a lot fewer courses taught in English at the bachelor level, and that's one of them. Um, but yeah, if you're already going to be a junior or a senior when you go to Berlin, and if you've had, a really good foundation, we do allow our students to take a master's course. Usually you have to get permission from the professor. It's not just a matter of course that you'd be allowed to even in the program. It's usually not a problem if you demonstrate to the professor that you've had requisite background to do the course. I'd also maybe mention that, unless students are set on having to fulfill, say, so and so many major requirements while they're in Berlin, we actually, Tanya and I always advise students to kind of take a range of subjects, not just only do one field. So if you were here and say you wanted to do one biology course for your major, and then maybe a GE and a language course, things like that. So we've had biology students in the program who found what they needed, but Tanya's correct that in terms of just statistically, almost all the undergraduate or bachelor level courses in biology are going to be in German.
Thank you. There was a question, how will our credit cards work in Germany? Can we just use our normal credit card? So Javier answered that you can use your credit cards, but there may be high foreign exchange fees. So if you do want to use your credit card, check the terms and conditions to see if there are foreign transaction fees that are charged. There may be some credit cards that don't have that. You will have an option to open an online bank account in Germany, or you can see if your US bank maybe has a sister bank in Germany that would allow you to withdraw money for an ATM without any fees. Basically, you have to see what your current bank's terms are. If it doesn't work, maybe look for a different bank, or you can open an account overseas if you're on one of the immersion programs. If you're just going for a summer, then maybe it won't be as necessary, and then you can just work with your US bank to figure out how that would work. How difficult is it to get a room in one of the university dorms?
Well, it is pretty competitive, but we brief students extensively before the sign up. So I feel like pretty much most students end up being successful in the dorm room application. I know at Humboldt, they say they try to offer all interested students from our program a spot at free. It's a matter of sitting at the computer very early in the morning. But if you're ready, you can also get a room at technical. I feel like most students who are interested get a room. So there's not 100% guarantee, but there's a good chance that you'll get one.
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't had problems with that really. Looks like
How many? Go ahead.
How many classes can you take at most? And is there room for exceptions? I'm not sure what you're referring to, exceptions to what?
I think probably taking more or less classes.
Yeah, I mean, while it fluctuates and varies, especially at the TU, in terms of number of courses, at the Humboldt and Free University, I'd say the majority or really most of our students end up taking 4 courses in a semester. If you're not at the upper intermediate level of German yet, then one of those will be a German language class. And we really discourage our students from enrolling in more than that. And if you do it, that you do it with your eyes open, that's adding a lot to your workload. But I don't know, Katerina, you'd have to say if there's an upper limit, because really we haven't had students like go to the point where we say you can't take more than this, but we really wouldn't want to anyway. We'd really advise you against taking too many units.
And Laura, our academics specialist, had to come off the call, but if you go on those program pages that I was talking about earlier, on that academics tab, it will tell you how many courses students take on each program. So generally, those are the courses that you're expected to take. If once you choose your program, you're accepted, you want to discuss anything further on an individual basis, we can do that, but generally it will be on the program pages on the academics tab is where you'll find the information for how many courses you can take on each program. And then there's a question about sharing more about the Berlin experience program, how the classes compare to Berlin University classes, and how the environment is since you're not connected with a university. So also in terms of meeting students from other countries, classes related to majors, and getting immersed in German life.
Yeah, I guess I can say something to that because I've actually sat in on some classes there and I've interacted with the people there quite a bit. It is different. It's obviously a different calendar, so it's not even taking place. It does overlap, but it's not the same academic calendar. It's more like on a US calendar system. The students in your classes are going to be American students. So I guess the biggest difference is the courses you'll take, even if they're being taught by German faculty members and who they hire, will feel a lot more like American seminars that you would take in the UC, including the kind of academic work you do, such as quizzes and midterms and taking attendance and like that. So they're just structured very much more like US courses. So that's a big difference right there. Obviously, also not being on a campus, there's no, I mean, even though they have their own sort of mini campus environment with all the students who either live in the building there in the dorm rooms or just hang out and work and engage with each other there and do the excursions together. So it's just you're going to feel very much like you're in an American college environment in Germany and in a really cool part of Germany, in Kreuzberg, but not the same. So that's that one. Now, that said, I've so far heard positive things about how that feels and how that is. Yeah, I don't know, did that address everything those students were asking?
I
I
think
think
it's
so.
also,
Do you have, go ahead, Tanya.
I think it's also just important to be aware of what Glenn mentioned going in. So we had a kind of predecessor of this program with a different university, and students were sometimes complaining about the kind of bubble that they were in. If you know going in, you're not necessarily going to, be in class with German students or students from other countries. And you make your peace with that, then I think it can be a very rewarding experience. And maybe especially so if you decide to do an internship in one of your blocks, because that will get you out of that bubble and in touch with, Berliners, other internationals. So I think that can make a difference, and also just go in like open-eyed. What's kind of obvious, but I still want to point that out, is that the number of courses you can choose from, is, obviously going to be very limited. It's their course offering. They have, quite a bit of number of courses to choose from, but, there's between 200 and 250 students. So you can kind of do the math if around, what is it, like maybe 15 of them are in one class. That's the number of courses that you get. Whereas if you look at the three large universities, you have, dozens of majors with long lists of classes. And you're not even limited to one university. So that's also, I feel, a huge difference.
Yeah, what I was going to ask you is if you know the types of activities that they have for students, whether they do try to set up any like language exchanges with German students that might be in the area.
Yeah, they do some of that. So they definitely try to get students in touch with the Berliners, and do help, if you have certain interests, they help you try to locate, say, a sports club or whatever. So they definitely work on that. But there's some limit to that, in that, obviously you're gonna have to take your classes there, do the work for those classes. You live with students on the program, but there's definitely an effort on the program's part of trying to integrate the students as best as they can.
Yeah, I must say though, I mean, if that program is for you and you figure out you like what you see, then the staff who's there, they're really good at their job, and they even have a person who's called the director of student life, or something like that, and he's phenomenal. Like, they're just really good at their job and making it a good, positive experience for the students. But again, as long as you're going into it aware that you're not immersing yourself in German academia or German life by living there, except, and maybe that's another one Tanya did mention, they do offer a very robust homestay option. So, you may be going to classes with other Americans in this limited palette of choices for courses, but you'd be living with a German family or a German-speaking family, which for many students is a very valuable thing to have. And the immersion program doesn't have that as an option. So that's a key difference.
Plus, the courses, depending on the topic, try to integrate the fact that they take place in Berlin, right? So they may take you places, invite people to come in. That's also different from just taking a similar class back home.
There's one more question of how do unit conversions work from semester to quarter? How many quarter credits does the average student receive for that fall semester? So again, on those program pages, the academics subpage will have the quarter UC units that students get on the program, and also the semester units that would be the equivalent of that quarter unit value. I don't know, Tanya or Glenn, if there's anything to add to that.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I don't see any other questions. Were you going to say something, Glenn?
No, just thank you to everybody for coming. Really, that was great.
Yeah, thank you for all the great questions.
Thank you
And
to the student volunteers who shared their experiences.
Yes. And taking time in the
Definitely.
evening for this. We really appreciate it.
It's very valuable what you guys can share with the incoming group.
So you're going to make the recording of this available for the students who want to come back and go through the details again?
Yes, it will be posted on the YouTube channel.
Super.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming. Thank you, Barbara, Tanya, and Glenn, for wonderful presentation for the students. And everyone have a great rest of your day.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.